beginning of the movie, a shaman named Ambar performs a ritual on a woman named Seker, asking her ancestors to grant a wish for her, and in return, Seker pledges her loyalty to her ancestors. Amber warns her that only she or someone more powerful than her can undo this, and if Seker breaks the promise, she will face the consequences. After many years, Seker now lives with her 3 children, Ratna, Dodi, and Dani. After Ratna and Dodi leave for school, she confronts Dani, scolding him for his careless behavior. She tells him she has worked hard so her children can succeed and not end up like her or their late father. She says she wants him to go to college this year, take responsibility, and take care of his brother and sister. Dani asks why she can never understand him and admits he knows he is not the kind of son she can be proud of, but he wants her to know that he has goals. He explains that he is working hard to learn how to fix motorcycle engines, but every time he tells her this, she never understands what he wants. Seker replies that she can't keep supporting him because nothing ever works out, and she suspects he just wants her to open a shop for him so his friends can hang out late every night and cause trouble. Dani insists he does not want to go to college and argues that a degree does not guarantee success, to which she tells him that from now on, he needs to figure out his own life, but out of her sight. When Dani asks what she means, she says she wants him out of the house because she does not want him to set a bad example for his siblings. Before leaving, Dani says he will prove to her that he can succeed without her help and that he will remember everything she said today. 1 year later, while Seker is at her diner, we see she has placed some offerings there, likely for her ancestors. Meanwhile, Dani's boss, Mang Dayat, thanks him, saying that ever since he started working there, they have been getting more customers because of his efforts. When Dani checks his month's pay, he asks, "Isn't this too much?" To which Dayat replies that he deserves it. That evening, Dodi tells Ratna that he is thirsty and needs water, to which she replies that he should go downstairs and get it himself since she is busy. Scared, Dodi goes downstairs, where he sees a female figure roaming through the house, and suddenly, it appears behind him, causing him to rush back to his room in fear. He tells Ratna that he is scared, and she agrees to get water for him. The next day, Seker notices a boy dropping Ratna off, and when Ratna arrives at the diner, Seker asks her about him. She explains that she isn't saying she can't socialize or make friends, but she is worried that she might get hurt, especially since the boy seems much older than her. Seker mentions that her brother lost his way, and she doesn't want her to end up like him. Ratna replies that she can take care of herself and hands Seker a letter from the school, and Seker discovers that it is about Ratna's overdue payments. After Ratna leaves, Seker is upset because no customers are coming to her diner, and when a man named Kang passes by, he finds Seker's diner empty and closed. Rodia rushes to him and brings him inside, and while she is packing food for him, he comments that their diner looks dull and dirty from the outside, as if something is wrong, but Rodia dismisses his concerns, saying it's just in his head. After a while, Kang returns and tells Rodia that the food is spoiled and smells bad. Seker checks the food and asks him if he would like it replaced, or if he wants a refund, to which Kang requests a refund. After Kang leaves, Seker checks the food and tells Rodia that it's all spoiled. However, they are both shocked because the food is freshly cooked and still warm. Seker takes Rodia with her to Amber's house, but when they arrive, they find that Amber died around 4 in the afternoon. Before her death, she was heard screaming and had gone into a frenzy, scratching her face. Seker goes inside the house to see Amber, where suddenly cotton comes out of her nose. Seker, feeling frightened, tries to put the cotton back into her nose. But just then, Amber's eyes snap open. Seker attempts to call the elders, but no one answers. And when she tries to close Amber's eyes, Amber suddenly comes to life, terrifying Seker. As she calls for help, Amber spits something onto her face, prompting Seker to run out of the house in fear, where Rodia helps her to calm down and wash her face. Next, we see Dodi watching a horror movie in his house, when suddenly he hears a knock at the door. He feels a bit scared, but gets up to open it, and as he does, he stumbles over a toy and falls. When he looks back at the door, he sees a demonic figure entering the house, but it turns out to be his mother, who walks straight to her room without saying a word to him. Dodi finds this very strange and decides to check on her, where he finds her sitting on the bed. He looks around the room, and suddenly Seker asks him to close the door. Startled, Dodi quickly returns to his room and tells Ratna that their mom has come home, but is acting weird. He explains that she usually invites him in and kisses his forehead, but this time, she didn't do that. Just then, another knock at the door makes Dodi jump, and Ratna teases him, saying this is why he shouldn't watch horror movies. Now when she opens the door, Seker and Radia are standing there. Seker enters and kisses Dodi on the forehead before heading to her room. Confused, Ratna asks Dodi what's wrong with him, pointing out that he had said their mom had already come home, yet she is right there. Later, we see something happening to Seker as her body begins to stiffen, but suddenly she wakes up from sleep, and just then, a song starts playing on the radio, which unnerves her. She moves towards the radio to turn it off, but as soon as she does, the room's lights go out, heightening her fear. Then, the closet door opens, and a demonic entity begins to emerge, and before she can understand anything, Seker starts levitating in the air, and an unseen force begins to choke her before throwing her against the ceiling. But once again, Seker wakes up from sleep. The next day, she goes to Ratna's school to ask for more time to pay her tuition fee, but she is informed that her dues were paid in full yesterday. She calls Danny and asks if he paid Ratna's fee. Danny replies that he did, and mentions he has a job now, to which Seker responds that she hopes it's an honest job, then disconnects the call. Meanwhile, we see Seeker's diner filled with guests, but a woman approaches her and asks why the diner was closed. Seker replies that it is open, but the woman explains that she tried to buy food there yesterday, and it was closed. Seker rushes to her diner and is shocked to see that, from the outside, it appears dirty and foul-smelling. She enters, and to her horror, finds that all the customers are terrifying ghosts. Suddenly, Rodia interrupts her and remarks that the diner is crowded today, but in the next moment, Seker sees that the diner is empty. Rodia approaches her, holding some dried leaves in her hands, and says they made a lot of money today. Seker and Rodia visit a shaman, and Seker explains that her business has been slow for the past 3 months, and she has been experiencing strange occurrences. The shaman performs a ritual, seeking help from the ancestors. Suddenly, Seker falls unconscious, prompting the shaman to ask who is it. Seker wakes up possessed, revealing herself as Nyai Wengi, and warns the shaman to stay out of this if he doesn't want to die. The entity then screams, causing the shaman to stumble backward. He gets up and tries to expel the entity from her, and Seker collapses again. When she regains consciousness, the shaman tells her that she made a deal with a jinn named Nyai Wengi, a wicked spirit. He explains that if she fails to make the required offerings, which she did, because the person responsible for making the offerings is gone, the jinn will destroy her and her family. Seker asks what she should do, and the shaman advises her to expel the jinn from her body immediately before it is too late, warning that it won't be easy. He also tells her that he cannot help with this, and that she must seek out the person who put it in her, or someone related, or someone with higher powers. They then visit Amber's house, where Seker sees a woman at the window, and when she tells Rodia about her, Rodia doesn't see anyone there. Seker goes inside the house to investigate, where she encounters the jinn, and the scene cuts to her screams. Meanwhile, Braam takes Ratna to his room, where he tries to force himself on her, but uncomfortable and unwilling, Ratna stops him, slaps him, and leaves the room. That night, Rodia brings Seker back to her house, and Dodi becomes frightened when he sees her condition. And as Seker enters the house, Dodi notices a jinn following her. After Rodia leaves, Dodi tells Ratna that he saw something following their mother, but she dismisses his concern. Suddenly, they hear the sound of water splashing from the bathroom, and when they go to check, they find Seker pouring water over herself, saying that she is burning. Ratna stops her and asks what's wrong, and upon checking her, Ratna discovers strange wounds on her face and hands. She tells Dodi to get a towel, but as he goes to retrieve it, he notices someone pulling the towel back, terrifying him when he realizes that the jinn is there. Later, Ratna tries to feed Seker, but after taking one bite, she begins to vomit, expelling black liquid. Ratna asks Dodi to go upstairs and fetch her phone, but when he refuses out of fear, Ratna decides to get the phone herself, with Dodi running after her. She calls Danny, but his phone is on silent because he is praying. Meanwhile, Dodi begins to have seizures, and as Ratna tries to check on him, the lights in the house go out, and the jinn is seen standing in the shadows. Suddenly, Ratna's phone rings, and it's Danny who asks why she is crying. Ratna explains the situation, and Danny advises her to stay calm. He tells her to seek help from Rodia and mentions that he is heading home as well. After some time, Danny reaches home, and at the same time, Ratna also reaches there with Rodia. But when they come inside, they find that Seeker and Dodi are not in the bedroom. They begin searching for them and hear Seeker laughing from the bathroom. Sekar tells them that Dodi's body is hot, so he needs a bath, prompting them to quickly approach and stop her from doing so. The next day, Danny promises his siblings that he will never leave them alone again. He then tells Ratna to look after their mom while he goes to buy some food. After he leaves, Ratna receives a text from Braam saying he is waiting outside. She goes out to meet him, and Braam asks why she is avoiding him. Ratna tells him that although she has forgiven him, she doesn't want to see him anymore and asks him to leave. Braam threatens to show their photos to her mother, and when Ratna asks him to delete the photos, Braam tries to force himself on her. Danny returns just in time and beats Braam up, but Braam asks Danny to stop and claims he is Ratna's boyfriend. Danny tells Braam that he doesn't want his sister dating someone like him, and Ratna confirms that they are over. Later, Sekar tells her children that after their father died, she promised to take care of all of them, but she lost her way. She explains that she sought help from a shaman to keep the diner crowded so she could support them until they were all grown up. Sekar expresses that her only wish is for the three of them to be successful and not end up like her. Just then, Dodi notices the door opening and the jinn entering the room. He tells Danny and Ratna that someone is there, and when Danny goes out to check, the door shuts behind him, trapping him outside. Inside, the jinn possesses Seeker, and she jumps out of the bed, and when Ratna goes to check on her, she pushes her away. After this, Seeker begins to destroy the entire room, claiming that her body is burning, and then she starts hitting her head against the glass of a window. Danny breaks down the door and rushes in, but Seeker has already injured herself by breaking the glass with her head. She then starts cutting her hand with the piece of glass. Seeing this, Danny quickly tries to get Ratna and Dodi out of the room, but in the chaos, Seeker manages to wound Ratna. Despite the danger, Danny manages to lock Seeker in the room to keep everyone safe. The next morning, Seeker's children begin reciting prayers, but suddenly, Seeker becomes possessed again and demands that they feed her, claiming she hasn't eaten since yesterday. As they approach her, Seeker starts screaming uncontrollably, and in response, they have to restrain her with a rope to control her. That evening, Danny organizes a prayer gathering at his home, and his boss, Diet, also attends. As the prayers begin, Danny notices that his mother starts becoming possessed again, and suddenly she begins to scream. However, despite the commotion, Ustad urges everyone to stay calm and continue reciting the prayers. Seeker sits on the bed and tells them to be quiet, declaring that their prayers are useless and in vain. Seeing this, Danny instructs Ratna to take Dudi, Aina, and Ani to the bedroom. Once they are gone, Ustad confronts the jinn, but the jinn lifts him into the air and throws him against the wall, fatally injuring him. The sight shocks everyone, and they quickly take Ustad away. Later, Danny receives a call from Rodia, who informs him that she has found someone who can help Seeker. His name is Bagja. She says they can visit him tomorrow and that she will pick him up in the morning. Meanwhile, as Rodia walks toward her house, she is startled to see the jinn standing in front of her. The jinn suddenly moves closer, causing Rodia to become terrified. She runs to her house and locks the door behind her, but once inside, the jinn attacks her. The next morning, when Rodia doesn't answer their calls, Danny visits her house with Diet, only to discover that she is dead. Aina tells them that she came over this morning, as she always does before they head to the diner, and mentions finding something in Rodia's pocket. They find that it's Bagjay's address, and Diet says he knows the place. They all set out to take Seeker to Bagja, and noticing that it has gotten dark, Dayat suggests to Danny that they should stay for the evening prayers. They stop at a spot and begin praying, and during this, Dodi sees the jinn sitting right next to their mother, but is too afraid to tell anyone. After a while, when their prayers are finished, Ratna realizes that Seeker is missing, causing everyone to panic. Danny tells Ratna to stay there with Dodi and suggests that the others split up. After a while, Anga and Nizam find Sekar, who turns towards them and suddenly lunges at Anga, causing Nizam to fall aside. Sekar kills Anga by stabbing him with a stick, then turns to Nizam and stabs the stick into his eye. Hearing their screams, Danny and Diet rush to the scene, only to find Anga's dead body. Danny then notices Nizam's body, and as he goes to check on him, Sekar attacks Diet. Danny soon realizes that Dayat is missing, and when he searches for him, he finds Sekar has fatally injured Diet, who dies in front of him. Meanwhile, Sekar chases Ratna and Dodi as they run away, but suddenly, Dodi falls, and Sekar begins dragging him away. Just then, Danny arrives and saves Dodi, but Sekar turns her aggression toward Danny, grabbing him by the throat. Danny struggles to free himself, and just in time, Bagja arrives and knocks Sekar down. Bagja takes them to his place and explains that while the body is still their mother's, the soul inside it is no longer hers. He gives them water in their hands and instructs them to rub it on their faces, while reciting prayers so they can see who is inside their mother's body. They follow his instructions and become frightened upon seeing the jinn. Bagja tells them they must remove the jinn and the amulet from their mother's body. He instructs Danny to find a green coconut from a tree with only one fruit and to collect some soil from the grave of the shaman who helped place the cursed amulet in their mother's body. He emphasizes that this must be done tonight. Before Danny leaves, Bagja hands him a bottle of water and says, "If anything tries to stop you, splash it with this water." Danny arrives at the graveyard and locates Amber's grave, but as he begins to gather the soil, he hears a voice warning him, "Do not take the soil from this grave, or you will be hurt." Danny finds himself having a hard time picking up the soil, and suddenly he sees a lot of maggots in the soil, which scares him for a moment. He takes a deep breath, regaining his composure, and continues to gather the soil. But then, he realizes he's surrounded by a multitude of pochons, shrouded, ghostly figures bound in burial cloth. Remembering the bottle of water, he quickly retrieves it, recites prayers, and pours the water over Ambar's grave, due to which all those pochongs disappear. With the soil in hand, Danny feels uncertain about where to find the green coconut. As he sits in confusion, he suddenly senses a presence beside him and finds that it's Seeker's spirit. Trusting his mother's spirit, Danny follows her, and Seker's spirit leads him to a spot where he spots a lone tree with only a single coconut hanging from its branches. Meanwhile, Seker gets possessed and stands up, and Bagja instructs the kids to stay back. Seker turns towards him and warns him to stay out of this, and as she steps forward, Bagja reacts, striking her hard enough to knock her back. But Seker is relentless and moves towards him again in a weird position, and as Bagja attacks her, she swiftly blocks his attack and then kicks him, sending him sprawling backward. A fierce struggle then erupts between Seker and Bagja, with both landing brutal blows and injuring each other. The fight intensifies, each move more desperate than the last until Bagja manages to shove Seker with all his strength, causing her to fall and collapse outside the house, where she finally falls unconscious. Bagja approaches Seker to check on her, but she suddenly wakes up and springs to her feet and attacks him. The surprise assault knocks Bagja to the ground, and as he struggles to fend her off, Seker seizes the opportunity and plunges his dagger into him. Seker, still wielding the dagger, moves toward Ratna and Dodi, but just as she's about to strike, Dodi pleads with her to stop crying, saying they love her, and asking, "Don't you love us?" His words momentarily reach her, and Sekar pauses, sitting down and calming for a brief moment. But the jinn within her soon reasserts its control, and as Seker turns back to attack the children, Danny intervenes, holding her off. Meanwhile, Bagja takes action, sprinkling coconut water over Seker to regain control of her. He makes Seker lie down there and tells the children that they must wash her mother with this coconut water and put the soil from the grave on her body. Following Bagja's lead, the three children do the same while Bagja and others recite prayers. Gradually, Seker begins to regain her senses, and once she is fully aware, they make her drink the coconut water. Seker apologizes to Danny, admitting that she was wrong to impose her will on him, and asks him to look after his siblings, to which Danny assures her that he will never leave home again, and will do whatever she wishes. Seker gently tells him to be true to himself and live his own life. And with her final breath, She recites a prayer, finding peace as she passes away. A few months later, we see Danny and Ratna managing their mother's diner. However, it is soon revealed that the jinn has now taken over Ratna, and the movie ends here.